Hello, good evening, Happy New Year. I'm Roger Johnson. Welcome to the first full edition of North West Tonight for 2024. I hope you had a good Christmas and thank you for joining us. Our top story. Convicted of murder, the jealous girlfriend who mowed down and killed her partner in a moment of blind rage. Alice Wood killed Ryan Wilson after accusing him of flirting with another woman. Also tonight.
The computer system Post Office spent an arm and a leg on is faulty.
As a new TV drama about the Post Office Horizon scandal begins, a wrongly prosecuted sub-postmaster explains the tragic cost.
Everyone was told it can't be Horizon, nobody else is having these troubles. And then I learned the guy before me had killed himself over exactly the same troubles.
For a semi-final spot, there is no...
Heading for a bullseye, maybe, the teenage prodigy from Warrington, who's on the verge of becoming a darts legend. Making headline moves, Sophie's offering a reward after she lost the cuddly cow, which she's had all her life.
And we start the new year off with another named storm. Storm Henk has brought us some heavy rain. How's it looking for the rest of the week? Join me at the end of the programme.
A woman who killed her fiancé by running him over and dragging him under her car has been found guilty of his murder today. 23-year-old Alice Wood attacked Ryan Watson outside their home in Road Heath in Cheshire last May after accusing him of flirting with another woman at a party. His family say that they are heartbroken, as Katie Barnfield reports.
Caught on CCTV, the moments before Ryan Watson was murdered by his own fiancée. After driving at him in her car, she knocks him onto the bonnet. When he gets up, she drives at him again, this time pulling him under the car and killing him.
She got into her Ford Fiesta. She initially drove at Ryan, reversed it out, and then drove forward, tragically driving over Ryan and dragging him 150 metres up the road.
Earlier in the evening, the pair had been out at a party, laughing and joking together, before she drove them both home. But the court heard they'd begun arguing after Alice Wood accused her fiancé of flirting with another woman. When they got back home, neighbours heard shouting, doors slamming and an engine revving. Then, after driving over Ryan, Alice knocked on a neighbour's door to tell them what she had done.
And she said to my wife and myself that she's the driver. Okay. They had an argument, and she drove over him.
Today, Ryan's family said they were heartbroken.
Words cannot express how devastated we are with the loss of Ryan. The one person Ryan trusts the most was the person who took his life in such a violent way. I am living in a nightmare knowing that my son's moments, his last moments, were so brutal.
Listen to me, OK? I'm going to arrest you on suspicion of murder, OK?
After her arrest, Alice Wood claimed hitting Ryan had been a tragic accident, saying she intended to scare him but didn't realise he'd gone underneath the car. Today, though, a jury at Chester Crown Court found her guilty of his murder. The prosecution said Alice had lost her temper and used her car as a weapon against Ryan. Judge Michael Leeming told her she may never be released from jail, saying there is only one sentence that the law allows, and that is life imprisonment. Alice Wood will be sentenced later this month. Katie Barnfield, BBC North West Tonight at Chester Crown Court.
A senior doctor at the Royal Preston Hospital says that he is dreading the next 6 days of the junior doctors' strike. It starts tomorrow and it will be the longest in the NHS's history, but it comes, of course, just 2 weeks after the last one and at the busiest time of year for the National Health Service. Here's our health correspondent, Jill Dummigan.
January the 2nd and the festivities are well and truly over.
We've currently got over 100 patients in our department, with beds for around 48 of them in there. So we're about 100% over capacity within the emergency department. It means that we have patients on trolleys in the corridors waiting for admission onto the wards, and a significant workload for the emergency department staff.
And from 7 tomorrow morning, that workload's about to become even harder because the junior doctors won't be there.
Our priority is always to keep our emergency pathways safe. We move our consultants and the staff are not striking from planned elective work, onto the emergency care pathways. The implications of providing that cover are that we're having to cancel some of our planned operating lists, some of our outpatient clinics.
This will be their 9th strike since March, and it's 6 days, the longest in NHS history. It isn't just that this is the longest strike, but it comes just 2 weeks after the last one, with the Christmas holidays in between, and it's that cumulative effect that's really worrying people here.
I'll be honest with you, I'm worried. I'm really worried about this particular strike. I'm dreading it.
Like all of his colleagues, Professor Munava is trying to do 2 jobs, and it's exhausting.
My team members, all my consultant colleagues are doing consultant duties and also doing junior doctors' duties, trying to juggle both. And it's proving to be a massive challenge.
But it's the patients facing delayed tests, operations, other treatments, which really worry him.
Where they could have had the procedures when they were reasonably fit, they become more unwell, come into A&E, pressure on the wards, ambulance. It's a domino effect that you see eventually.
January in the NHS is always tough, but with no agreement between the union and the government in sight, this one promises to be even more testing than usual. Jill Dummigan, BBC North West Tonight, Royal Preston Hospital.
We'll follow the impact of the strike over the next 6 days, of course. Now, flood alerts have been issued for parts of the northwest, with Storm Henk expected to bring more heavy rain on top of what we've already had. The Environment Agency has issued flood warnings for the lower river Irwell around Salford. There are also warnings around the River Mersey and parts of the rivers Alt, Bollin and Weaver in Cheshire. The weather is affecting some train services in Lancashire tonight as well. Kay's got the forecast at the end of the programme. A body's been found in the search for a missing fell runner in the Lake District. Edward Catmore from London was reported missing yesterday after setting out on a fell run on New Year's Eve morning. A man has completed a charity walk around the Isle of Man to raise money for a mental health charity in memory of his sister. Neil Allcote from Castletown faced storm force winds and heavy rain while tackling the 102-mile challenge, which began on Christmas Eve. He's raised more than £5,000 for Isle Listen in memory of his sister, who died in 2020.
People are so nice. People coming in, giving me food, beer, shelter, coming up for talk. They open up about their problems as well, which is quite good. It just made it worth it, really.
Now, every night this week, you can see a TV dramatisation of what's been called the biggest miscarriage of justice in British legal history. It's about the way that the Post Office hounded and wrongly prosecuted hundreds of its own sub-postmasters because of a faulty computer programme. It's a story we've reported on this programme many times. Millions has since been paid in compensation, but some of those who were affected have died before their names could be cleared. And one of this week's episodes focuses on a post office in Cheshire with a tragic story, as Phil McCann reports.
You're responsible for the loss.
I haven't got that money, and I don't know where it's gone.
These deficits were most likely caused by you. That is the Post Office case.
It's said to be the most widespread miscarriage of justice in British history. They were at the centres of their communities, but hundreds of post office workers were accused of stealing thousands when they hadn't. Their stories are being dramatised on ITV this week.
I suppose it's PTSD. I mean, I've just had sheer frustration, anger. Had to stop driving because I couldn't see through the tears. There's a scene where somebody's slamming their fists against the steering wheel of the car in frustration. And I've completely forgotten, but yeah, I had done exactly that.
Pete from Wallasey noticed account discrepancies on the Horizon computer system in one of the branches he ran, but the Post Office blamed him. He was ordered to pay back £65,000, but the Horizon system was to blame.
A lot of people's fears were, would it portray reality properly? And it has. I mean, to fit 20 years into 4 hours is brilliant.
This was the branch Pete was accused of stealing from in Great Sutton near Ellesmere Port. What Pete didn't know 7 years ago was that the man who ran it before him, Martin Griffiths, was also accused of stealing thousands by Horizon. Martin took his own life.
Are you Mrs. Griffiths? Can we have a word in private? No.
It's depicted in tomorrow night's episode.
He was a proud man, and I think he thought he was letting us all down.
Martin's widow spoke to the BBC 2 years ago.
The worst thing for me was seeing my children. I have to see the dad die.
I was told, everyone was told, it can't be Horizon, nobody else is having these troubles. And then I learned the guy before me had killed himself over exactly the same troubles and exactly the same behaviour from Post Office doing this.
A public inquiry is due to hear from senior Post Office and government officials this year.
We came back with retail stock from 2 post offices we brought home, and so this is what we've got left after 3
Pete got his own payout from the Post Office. The hope from him and others now is that prime-time ITV exposure for their story gives it the attention it deserves.
Even though I'm cleared now and settled with Post Office, I still have this anxious feeling of shame.
Phil McCann, BBC North West Tonight, Wallasey.
Yeah, you can see that drama on TV tonight. Kay's got all the weather forecast for us at the end of the programme, and Ian will be here in just a couple of minutes with a roundup of all the sport, including the latest on Luke, the Nuke Littler, who is turning into quite a darts sensation. But before all of that, when I was 15, I was probably doing all the things you'd expect a teenager to do. It was back in the 80s, so my fashion sense was almost certainly dubious, and my lingering taste in 80s music is probably just the same, or at least that's what my children tell me. What has that got to do with sheep, I hear you ask? Well, a 15-year-old girl from Lancaster, she's 15, has already bought a flock of her own. And what started out for Jess as a hobby is now becoming a burgeoning business, as Dave Guest has been finding out.
Jess was 13 when she decided she wanted her own flock of sheep. She started out with 3.
When I saw my original 3 at a sale, I just knew that I wanted them.
Now aged 15, she has a flock of 14 and counting. And the schoolgirl from Lancaster's financing the whole venture herself.
Girls of your age normally be spending it on, I don't know, makeup or going out or doing something else.
Yeah, well, this is just, there's something that I've wanted for a long time, and I've thought about like what breed and everything. As you can see, my sheep are quite like loving, and they're just really cute, really.
But she knows looking after sheep isn't always about being cute and cuddly. She recently worked single-handedly to keep one of her lambs alive when its mother abandoned it. She took instructions on what to do down the phone. Jess has always felt comfortable around farm animals. She was walking out with cattle at the local agricultural shows in Lancashire when she was 3.
Well, my granddad had cows after he retired as a hobby, and I've just always been involved with them, and then I managed to persuade my granddad to let me keep these on his field as well.
So do you give them all names? Do you know which is which?
Yeah, so Karen, this is Emma, she was born last year, and that's Maeve, who I bought this year.
Well, they may well all have names, but these aren't just glorified pets, they have to earn their keep. And Jess has just succeeded in selling her first batch of wool. Northern Yarn, a specialist wool shop in Lancaster, has bought a number of her fleeces. The wool from Jess's sheep has been used to create this.
You did pay considerably more than the market value for the fleece. Why?
It was really good quality fleece. You could tell Jess's sheep were really well looked after. We wanted to support her new venture and really promote British wool.
Is this what you would want to do eventually when you finish school?
I want to be a farm vet, so obviously I'll still be involved with all the livestock and all the farm animals, but just like in a slightly different way.
Dave Guest, BBC North West Today, Lancaster.
The likes of Muhammad Ali, George Foreman and Mike Tyson are, of course, among the greatest names in boxing history. And now alongside them is the Fleetwood assassin, Jane Couch. She's become the first British woman to be inducted into boxing's International Hall of Fame and will be officially inducted in New York in June, along with Manchester's Ricky Hatton. 5-time boxing world champion Jane Couch is a legend in her sport, a fact further emphasised by her latest accolade.
Jane, you're in the Boxing Hall of Fame. How does that feel?
I'm just really overwhelmed. A girl from Fleetwood, just to get it anywhere near the Hall of Fame is just a remarkable achievement. I'm just so excited about it.
Some of those names in that Hall of Fame include Muhammad Ali, I think Barry McGuigan as well.
Barry McGuigan.
Foreman? George
Foreman, Fraser. It's just pinching yourself moments.
It was back in the mid-1990s that Jane took on the British boxing world for the right to fight in the professional ranks.
I am the world champion, and when I fight in other countries, they play the national anthem behind me for my country, which to me is a bit phony because they won't even let me box here. It's all going to change, it's got to change.
In 1998 it did, following a tribunal where women were labelled too unstable to box. The British Boxing Board of Control was forced to grant Jane a professional licence.
I've been fighting for 3 years for this day, you know, it's been hard work. It means like I can be boxing on the same bill as like Prince Nassim and everything at Wembley, and people in England can actually see me fight now.
As they have the next generation of women boxers, Liverpool world champion Natasha Jonas is one of many fighters to benefit.
There wouldn't really be women's boxing in this country were it not for you.
Yeah, of course. The case that we fought was really sexist, really against women, and the boxing board just didn't want women's boxing. But when you look where it is now, I knew I was right all them years ago because I was boxing on all the big shows in America.
Your old pal Ricky Hatton's also been inducted into the Hall of Fame, isn't he? And he's going with you on that flight to New York. What's that going to be like?
That's going to be, well, so I think when we get there we might have a few drinks, me and Ricky, so yeah, we'll make the Northwest proud. He's like myself, just down to earth, you know, comes from a council estate, like I come from council estate in Fleetwood. When we get to New York in June, you've got to do a speech in front of all these champions and all the top journalists from America, so I'll be like, oh my God.
Jane Couch.
When you look now, you get the MBE for services to boxing. I thought that was big. And now to be in the Boxing Hall of Fame, it's like, wow. I knew I was right. I knew that women could fight. Still got it up. 55 and still got. I might make a comeback yet, you never know.
Just before the weather with Kay, it's common for many of us to have items of sentimental value, which we've carried through the highs and lows of life. Pieces of jewellery, an item of clothing maybe, or in this case, a cuddly toy. Now, Sophie Lucas is from Bristol. On Sunday morning, going home from visiting family in Bolton, she lost Daisy the cow, who she's had for 45 years. She thinks Daisy fell out of the car in the Middlebrook retail car park in Bolton. In the 2 days since she's moved heaven and earth to try to find Daisy, and she's offering a reward to anyone who actually locates the cuddly cow.
I completely understand. I mean, obviously, there are lots of things going on in the world right now, and this might pale into insignificance. But to me, it's important I try to find Daisy because she's very old and very sentimental. She was given to me when I was 1 year old, and she's been with me throughout my whole life. She was there on my wedding day when I made her her own little veil, and she had some special photographs taken. She's quite well travelled. She's been to Hollywood. She's been to the Grand Canyon and Las Vegas. And everybody in my family and my friends knows of Daisy and always used to like following her adventures. So it's gut-wrenching to have lost her after 45 years.
Do you know what happened?
We presume that she fell out at the point when I opened the car boot. And since then, I've posted on social media to try and track her down. And several people have responded to say that she was found. They saw her sitting on a post outside one of the shops. And there were several sightings of her, including a little girl playing with her. And then it sounds like she was moved from the first shop because she was then sighted on a lamppost outside another shop on the park. So it sounds like she's had some adventures, but sadly, the management team haven't been able to find her on site. So I'm presuming perhaps she's gone home with somebody.
And given that you have had some success in tracing people who may have seen her, I believe your husband's already been back to have a look all the way from Bristol.
Yes, we realised she was missing just after midnight on New Year's Eve, and so after very little sleep, he decided he would drive from Bristol back up to Middlebrook, which takes about 3 hours, and he arrived there before the shops opened on New Year's Day so he could scour the car park. And then he waited for the shops to open and went into every single one and left our contact details. And on social media, people do seem quite invested to find her. I've had lots of really kind and helpful comments. So I'm really hoping that maybe this interview will spark someone to look a little bit more and return her. She might just be a scraggy, worn-out looking soft toy to onlookers, but to me in particular and my family, she's very precious.
Well, anybody who sees it, who knows, can get in touch with us at North West Tonight, and we'd be very happy to reunite you. Sophie, thank you very much indeed for talking to us. Sophie Lucas.
Thank you.
So you know where we are, nwt@bbc.co.uk. If you can help, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? Right, let's have a look at the weather. That certainly isn't funny at the moment. Here's Kay.
Hello there. Happy New Year. And we start the new year, don't we, typically in weather with a storm. So Storm Henk today has brought some heavy rain. It will continue to clear off as we go through tonight and overnight, but it has left scenes like this one. Peter was out and about having a walk with his dog Fergal, and you can see all the saturated ground. Let's take a quick look at the pressure chart. You can see where that storm is. It continues to push away to the east. Now, what happens behind it is we're going to be into an area of low pressure for the next few days, and that brings with it the risk of a few showers, but nowhere near the rain we've had. So you can see all that rain clearing away. Now, behind it, there will be some clear spells, but there'll also still be some showers. And some of those showers, especially across more southern parts towards the end of the night, could be quite heavy, potentially the odd rumble of thunder. It won't be cold, though, no frost. Temperatures about 6 to 8 degrees, and all the while, a fairly gentle breeze. So there will be showers from the word go tomorrow, and again, some of those are likely to be heavy, a bit thundery in nature, but there will be some breaks, some brighter spells from time to time where the cloud does thin. Temperatures for tomorrow, we'll probably get to about 9 or 10 degrees, just about staying in double figures. 10 is 50 in Fahrenheit. Still fairly gentle breeze, potentially a little bit fresher along more southern coastal parts. As we get towards the weekend, it looks as it's going to be quite settled. But notice the colours on the map. We are going to start to pull in much cooler air. So we are going to be talking from the weekend about calmer conditions, but cooler, with overnight fog and frosts returning. So for Thursday, it looks like we're going to wake up with some showers out and about once again. But as we go through the day on Thursday, we should see it brightening up. Some decent spells of sunshine, perhaps a few showers lingering for the Isle of Man. Temperatures for Thursday, we start to just gradually drop away, about 7 to 9 degrees. Bit of a foggy start on Friday, and temperatures probably not get much more, about 7 or 8. But then, like I said, fairly settled into the weekend. It will be cooler, though. There will be overnight frosts. And that's it from me. You take care.
Do take care if you're out and about on the roads. A lot of standing water earlier on the motorways, for sure. I'll be back with the late news at 10:30, but from all the team, thanks for watching and welcome to 2024. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.